Hi, it's Jenny from Balloon Circus, and today I'd love to do a little shout out for Esme and Xander in Brighton. Hi guys! And Maxie in London. Hope you're well and I get to see you soon. So, today's story, we're going to do the learning tree and the rubbish bin. It's very close to my heart. Gotta look after nature, guys. Okay. Once upon a moment, not so long ago, a little seed fell onto some soft ground and felt so good that he snuggled underneath an old brown leaf and went straight to sleep. In the morning, Sun climbed out from behind a hill and said, "Little seed, it's time to grow. I'll teach you all there is to know. Listen well and you will be the one they call the learning tree." And Seed stretched and grew out his arms and grew and grew. After a long rambling time, Seed said to the Sun, "I have listened and I have grown. Am I now the tree you said I'd be?" "You are indeed," said the Sun, "the learning tree." Now this story is about Timothy and Emma and the day they met the most marvellous tree. One day the children decided they'd go for a walk along the path that led to the fields. After a while they sat on a fence next to a tall tree. Timothy felt hungry and he reached into his pocket for some sweets he had brought with him. He unwrapped one, popped it in his mouth and threw the sweet paper on the ground. At that very moment he heard a strange voice. "Rubbish belongs in rubbish bins and icky sticky sweet papers are rubbish." It was coming from the tall tree. "I don't believe trees can talk," said Tim. "Most trees can't," came the reply, "but I am not most trees." "What sort of tree are you then?" asked Tim. "I am learning tree, and you really must put that sweet paper you threw on the ground into the rubbish bin. It makes everything look so untidy." "Surely one sweet paper doesn't matter," said Tim. "Ah, but it does," replied the tree. "Ground hates to be covered with sticky sweet papers. How would you like it?" Tim laughed. "I wouldn't mind." "Very well. We'll see if you mind or not," said the learning tree crossly, and he began to chant some strange words. "Wind blow east, wind blow west, send me rubbish, I do not jest. Sticky papers all around, stick this fellow to the ground." Learning tree's magic words began to work. Sticky paper began to fall down from the sky and covered poor Timothy from head to toe. Learning tree laughed. "Now do you mind being covered in sticky papers?" "I feel just like a piece of rubbish," groaned Tim. "Please get me out of this mess. I promise I won't throw rubbish on the ground again." Learning tree began to feel very sorry for Timothy. "Very well, but only if you promise." The tree thought for a moment, then he said, "Icky sticky sweetie wrap, fly away from this dear chap." The magic rhyme worked and all the rubbish floated off Tim and into the rubbish bin. Emma was amazed. "How did you do that?" she asked. "Oh, very easy," said the learning tree. "You know, it's the most marvellous feeling putting a piece of rubbish into the rubbish bin. Why, it feels like you've just tidied up the whole world. You should try it." "We will," shouted the children. The children promised Learning Tree they would always use a rubbish bin in the future. "If Timothy forgets," said Emma, "I'll remind him." "Will we see you again, Learning Tree?" asked Tim. "Oh yes," pleaded Emma. "We'd love to see you every day, if possible." Learning Tree laughed. "You can always see me, as often as you like. I'm always here. I have to be here. You see, one of my jobs is to count everything, to make sure there are enough to go around. I count the trees, the bees, the birds, and then of course I have to make sure that everybody puts their rubbish into rubbish bins. There's always plenty to do." Just then they heard Timothy's mother calling them in for tea. "You'd better go," smiled Learning Tree, "and remember, don't tell anyone else about me. It's our secret." The children agreed not to tell a soul. Timothy put the rest of his sweet papers into the rubbish bin, and they waved goodbye to their new friend. Timothy and Emma had certainly met the most marvellous tree. Don't you agree? Thanks everyone. Have a good weekend, and remember, use the rubbish bins. Bye.